Begin the Gemara today towards the bottom of Daf Kuf Gimel Amud Aleph, 2 lines from the bottom of the Yamud, where it says Amalan L'Chachmei Yisrael. So this is the middle of the story of Rabbeinu HaKadosh Rabbi's Petira, when he passed away from the world, the different things that happened, what he said, and so on. So the Gemara continues, Amalan L'Chachmei Yisrael Anitzarech. Rabbi says, I need the Chachamim to come to me. Nichnasu etz L'Chachmei Yisrael. The Chachmei Yisrael came to him, Amalan, he said to them, Al tispeduni ba'ayoris. Do not eulogize me in the large cities that are near the villages. So as we'll see soon in the Gemara, there are krachen gedolim. Krachen are actually larger. But these are the cities that are not as big as the krachen. Over there, he said, do not make a hesped for me. Then he said, V'hishiva yeshiva la'achash leishim yoyim. You should go back to yeshiva to learn Torah after 30 days. Shimon b'ni chacham. Then he said, my son Shimon is a chacham. Gamliel b'ni nasi. My son Gamliel is a nasi. The Gemara will explain soon what this means. Chanina bar Chama yeshiv b'rosh. And Chanina bar Chama should be at the head of the yeshiva. So the Gemara explains all the details that Rav said here. Al taspiduni ba'yados. When Rav says, do not eulogize me in the cities. So Savim Mina, they thought the reason Rav said this, he said it because he didn't want the people of the villages to have to go out of their way to come to the cities for the hesped. Even the Chazi, the Kasafti Bekrachim, when they saw that they were eulogizing Rebbe in the larger cities, in the very big cities, V'ka'asi Kula Alma, and everybody gathered over there in the very large cities. So Amru, then they said, Shmami no mishum yikaru the Ka'amar. Now we understand the reason he said, do not eulogize me in the smaller cities, but only in the very large cities, is actually because of this more honor this way, when more people come together. And this is the kavod for Torah, the kavod for Rebbe. Then he said, yeshiva la'achash leishim yom. You should go back to the yeshiva to learn Torah after 30 days of eulogizing Rabbi. And the reason is, says the Gemara, because Rabbi says, I'm not better than Moshe Rabbeinu. And what does it say by Moshe Rabbeinu? The Chsiv, over there it says, Vayifku b'nei Yisrael es Moshe ba'arvis moyav shloishim yom. That the Yidden cried and eulogized Moshe Rabbeinu for 30 days. So what happened over here by Rabbi? Tlossen yom and soften b'yamam v'lelia. For 30 days they eulogized him day and night. V'kam ve'elech, after this, softu b'yamam v'garsi b'lelia. They would eulogize by daytime and would learn at nighttime. Or the reverse, softu b'lelia, eulogizing by night, v'garsi b'yamam, and they learned by day. Ad softi treiser yarchi shate. Until this was going on for 12 months that they were eulogizing Rabbi either daytime or nighttime. So in the end, they actually ended up eulogizing him even more than Moshe Rabbeinu. Marsha points this out. Rabbi did not demand this because he doesn't deserve more than Moshe Rabbeinu, but the fact that they did so anyways, it doesn't matter. On that day that Rabbi passed away, Nafke Baskal of Amra, a Baskal came out and said, Kol dahava bashkafte de Rebbe. Anybody that was there when Rabbeinu HaKadosh passed away, and by his levaya, and by the hesped, mizumanu l'chai elam haba, is invited to come to chai elam haba, to have Gan Eden elam haba. Hu kaives, there was this individual, a launderer, kol yaima v'asik kamei, every day he would come in front of Rebbe. Hahu yaime layasa. On this day he didn't come. Kivin de shama hachi. When he heard this, salik le'igre v'nafala are omis. So he wasn't there, he didn't have the opportunity to be mezumel l'chayelim abas. He went up to a rooftop and he threw himself down and he passed away. Yotza Baskal v'amra, a Baskal came out and said about this individual, afahu kaivis mezumenu l'chayelim abba. This launderer as well is also invited to chayelim abba. So of course there's a big discussion here in the Mefarshim about this. How is he allowed to do this? There's a halacha of ma'abadat miladas, one may not take his life, so how is he allowed to do this? Some of Farshim say that from here you see that one that takes his life as a result of an intention to do tshuva. He had such tsar that he wasn't there when Rebbe was by Rebbe's levaya and by Rebbe's hesped, and he did it out of a feeling of tshuva, so then this is not an isser. But the Maharal actually says that this Gemara should not be understood literally. It didn't happen that he went up and fell down, but he threw himself down. Rather, he was a Bal Tshuva, and he had such tremendous tsar from this that he wasn't there, that he passed away from the tsar. So then the Baskal came and said that he's mezumel l'chayelim haba. Shimon b'ni chacham. Rabbi said, my son Shimon is a chacham, and then my son Gamliel is a nasi. So my Kamar, what was Rabbi saying? Hachi Kamar, this is what Rabbi is saying. Even though my son Shimon, which is younger, is smarter, Gamliel beni Nasi, but nevertheless, my son Gamliel, which was the older son, he will be the Nasi. So Omar Levi said about this, is this something that Rabbi has to say? For sure. We have to give the Nesius always to the oldest son. What's the Chiddush here? Amar Rab Shimon beRabbi. So Rab Shimon beRabbi, the younger son that heard that Levi commented that of course the older brother becomes the Nasi. What's the Chiddush about this? So Rab Shimon, the younger son, so he said to Levi, Tzrich lach ulemal ta'asach. You and you which are limping, this was, as we'll see soon again in the Gemara, Levi had a limp. So he says to him, you and your limp need Rabbi. You need Rabbi to let us know that it is actually the oldest son, Rabbi Gamliel, that will become the Nasi. It is a Chiddush. So the Gemara now explains, my kashile, what's the question that Rab Shimon had? Why was he so upset at Levi's comment? All he's saying is something that we already find in a pasuk. The pasuk says, that Yehoram became the king. Why? Because he's the Bechar. So actually, Levi seems to be right. There's no chiddush in saying that Gamliel, the oldest son, will become the Nasi if that's what the pasuk says over here regarding a king. Says the Gemara, there's a difference. Yehoram took the place of his father, meaning that he was the most prominent of all his brothers. So therefore, being the Bechor, and he was actually on a high level. So therefore, he was the one that's appointed. But Rabbi Gamliel, however, Rabbi Gamliel was not on the same level as his father, and therefore he wouldn't be appointed if Rebbe had not said so clearly. So the Gemara now explains, Rebbe, my time of Dachi. So why did Rebbe Taki say so that Rabbi Gamliel should take his place and not Rab Shimon, which was a Chacham, which was smarter, more Mamala, the Makam of his father? So the Gemara answers, Nihi de'ena Mamala Makam Avesav b'Chachma. True, Rabbi Gamliel does not take the place of his father when it comes to Chachma, wisdom, but b'yiras chet Mamala Makam Avesav hava. However, when it comes to yiras chet, to fear of a sin, for this he did take the place of his father, and therefore Rebbe appointed him to be the Nasi. From this Gemara we learn out there's important halachas that are brought in also in Shulchan Aruch when it comes to taking a position of a father, which child has the rights. You have over here different svaras in the Gemara, B'chayr, Mamala Makam Aveisav, whether in Chachma, whether in Yiras Chet. It's a very important Gemara that's used for this halacha. Sagt the Gemara weiter, Chanine Bar Chame Yeshiv Bereish. So Rabbi said Chanina Bar Chama should be at the head of the yeshiva. Lekibel Rab Chanina. Rab Chanina did not accept this position. Shoy Rab Afis Godel Mimenu Shteishanim Umechza, because Rab Afis was older than him 2.5 years. So Yosef Rab Afis Bereisha. Rab Afis became the Rosh Yeshiva, and Yosef Rab Chanina Avroi. But Rab Chanina did not sit in the Besmedrash as a student of Rab Afis, so he sat outside. So Levi came, Yosef Gabei, and he sat with him. Then Noch Nafshi the Rab Afis passed away, and now Yosef Rab Chanina Bereisha. Rab Chanina became the Rosh Yeshiva. V'layhava Levi inish l'meisav Gabei. So Levi remained out of the Bismedrash, and he didn't have anybody to sit with. The Ka'asa l'Bavel. So he came. In other words, he went to Bavel. Behind it, Amri Leile Rav, and this is what we once learned, that it was said to Rav, Gavre Rabbe Iklal Nerda, a great person has come here to Nerda, Umitla, and he limps. This is, as you saw before, Levi that was limping. And Vidarish, and he darshan the following halacha, Klile Shari. A klila, which is a certain nice head covering, is allowed for a woman to go out with this on Shabbos. Even though the Gemara there in Shabbos says that there are things that Chachamim made exedet, that a woman may not take out jewelry and adornments on Shabbos because she may take it off to show people. But this klila, which is for prominent women, it's allowed because they will not take. We're not concerned that prominent women will take off this prestigious head covering to show anybody. Omar, when Rav heard this, so he said, Shma Mino, now I understand, Noch Nafshi the Rab Afis. The Rab Afis must have passed away. The Yosef Rab Chanina Bereisha, and Rab Chanina became the Rosh Yeshiva. Levi inish l'meisav Gabei. So therefore Levi now was left alone out of the Bismedrash, and he didn't have who to sit with. And V'kasa, and therefore he came over here to Bavel. That's what Rav that is understood. But the Gemara asks, how did Rav understand this? Maybe the reason Levi came is because Rab Chanina passed away. Rab Afis Yosef, and Rab Afis is still the Rosh Yeshiva, And Levi, and Levi, which was out of the Bismedrish, together with Rab Chanina, but now that Rab Chanina passed away, he didn't have what to sit with, and that's why he came to Bavel. Because so he came to Bavel. So the Gemara says, no, that can't be. Either the reason is Levi l'Rab Office mechav avachayev. Levi, if Rab Office was still the Rosh Hashiva, so he would be subdued to him. In other words, he would go, if Rab Chanina was not outside the Beis Medrash anymore, he would go back into the Beis Medrash to be a student by Rab Office. So it must be that Rab Office is the one that passed away. Or the answer is, how did Rebbe know that it must be that Rab Office passed away? Kivin the Amar Rab Chanina bar Chama Yeshe Bereish. Again, Kivin the Amar Rebbe, Chanina bar Chama Yeshe Bereish. Since Rebbe said, before he passed away, that Chanina bar Chama should become the Rosh Hashiva, Lo Sagid Le Malach. It's not going to happen that he'll pass away before he actually gets the opportunity to be the Rosh Hashiva. It says regarding tzaddikim, Vatigza Oime Vayakim Lach. If they decree something, it will happen. It will come to pass. So it must be that Rab Office passed away and Rab Chanina actually became the Rosh Hashiva. Sagt die Gemara, V'ha'av Rab Chia. Fragt die Gemara, V'ha'av Rab Chia. Why did Rebbe appoint Rab Chanina bar Chama to be the Rosh Hashiva, but wasn't Rab Chia alive? And Rab Chanina was much greater, so he should have been appointed. Says the Gemara, no, noch nafshe. Rab Chia, that is, had already passed away at that time. Fragt the Gemara, how could you say this? But Rab Chia, we know that Rab Chia said, Ani ra'isi kivrei shel Rebbe. I saw the cave of Rebbe, v'hiradati all of the mice, and I cried on the cave of Rebbe. Says the Gemara, Eipech. You're going to have to say that the reverse happened. That Rebbe said that he saw the cave of Rab Chia and he cried. V'hamer Rab Chia, fragt the Gemara another question, but we know that Rab Chia said, Oisai yom shemeis Rebbe. On this day that Rebbe passed away, Batla Kedusha. The Kedusha in the world is Batal. That's a simple pshat in the Gemara. As another pshat here, though, if you look in Taisvis says what this means is that when Rebbe passed away, because Rebbe was such a tremendous tzaddik, so therefore even a kohen could be metame himself by his levaya because of the kedusha that he has, and therefore even a kohen is allowed. And Taisvis actually brings it. There's a famous thing that Rab Chaim Kohen said that if he was there when Rabbeinu Tam passed away, so he also would have been metame himself to Rabbeinu Tam because of what it says here in the Gemara, Batla Kedusha, which means that even though it says Batla Kedusha regarding Rebbe, which means this special level of Kedusha that Rabbeinu HaKadosh had when he passed away, but nevertheless, Rab Chaim Kohen applies the same thing to Rabbeinu Tam. The point is, the Gemara is asking that we see that Rebbe passed away after Rab Chia. Rebbe is saying that... Rab Chia is saying that on the day that Rebbe passed away, Batla Kedusha, so we see that Rebbe passed away after Rab Chia. So the Gemara answers, Eipach. This as well, we have to switch, that it was Rab Chia that said this. It was Rebbe that said this about Rab Chia. Fragt the Gemara from a third place. Tanya, we learned in a Braisa, Keshachala Rebbe, when Rebbe was sick, Nichnas Rab Chia etzloi, Rab Chia came into him. Umatzeshu boiche, and he found Rebbe crying. Amaloi, so he says to Rebbe, why are you crying? Vatanya, we learned in a Braisa, meis b'teichas chayk, person that passes away when he's smiling or laughing, simin yafaloi, it's a good sign for him. Miteicha bechi, one that passes away when he's crying, simin raloi, it's a bad sign for him. Panav lamaila, if his face is facing upwards, simin yafaloi, it's a good sign. Panav lamata, facing downwards, simin raloi, it's a bad sign. Panav klapia, his face is towards the people, simin yafaloi, it's a good sign. Klapia kaisel, towards the wall, simin raloi, it's a bad sign. Panav yirukin, if his face is green, simin raloi, it's a bad sign. Panav tzuhuvim vadumim, if his face is shining and red, simin yafaloi, it's a good sign for him. Meis be'erev Shabbos, one passes away on erev Shabbos, simin yafaloi, it's a good sign. B'matzah Shabbos, on matzah Shabbos, simin raloi, it's a bad sign. Meis be'erev Yom Kippurim, person passes away on erev Yom Kippur, simin raloi, it's a bad sign. B'matzah Yom Kippurim, a person that passes away on matzah Yom Kippur, simin yafaloi, it's a good sign for him. Meis mecholim mayim, simin yafaloi, person passes away from issues that he has, that he's not well within his stomach, that's a good sign for him. Nisharubam shal tzadikim yisasem b'cholim mayim. Most tzadikim pass away from a sickness of cholim mayim. So he's asking Rebbe, why are you crying when you pass away? You should be happy, and that's a good sign when you pass away. Amalei, so Rebbe said, the reason why I'm crying is, I'm not crying because I'm concerned about where I'm going to, but rather I'm just crying that I will not have the opportunity to fulfill Torah mitzvahs. So what do we see over here? That Rebbe passed away before Rab Chia. Rab Chia is the one that's asking Rebbe, when Rebbe passes away, why is he crying? So how can how come we're saying before that Rab Chia passed away before? So again, the Gemara answers, or we have to say over here, that we have to switch the story, that this is Rabbi that said this to Rab Chia when Rab Chia was passing away, and Rab Chia was the one that was crying. Or we could say, regarding all these braises here and the questions that we asked, that why was Rab Chia not appointed as the Rosh Hashiva, we do not have to reverse the stories over here, but rather Rab Chia osuk b'mitzvahs, Rab Chia was busy doing mitzvahs, and Rabbi thought to himself, Lo yafakre, I'm not going to stop him from the mitzvahs that he's doing, and therefore I will not appoint him as the Rosh Hashiva. And the Gemara here will tell us the story, the famous story here about what Rab Chia had done. And V'hainu, this is the story that said, Rab Chanina were arguing. So Amalei Rab Chanina says to Rab Chia, Bahadi didi minsis, you're arguing with me? Do you know how great I am? If God forbid the Torah was forgotten from Yidden, I would bring back and they would remember all the halachas of Torah through my pulpulim, the discussions that I would bring back the halachas of Torah. Amalei Rab Chia, and Rab Chia responded to Rab Chanina and said, Anovdi, what I did is, that Torah should not be forgotten from Yidden. How? I brought the seeds from flax, v'shadaina, and I threw it into the ground, megadlona, and nishbi, and then from this seeds, I took the flax, and then I made from it nishbi, made from it nets, v'tzayadna tavya, and I captured deers, umachilna bisrali yasmi, and I gave to eat the meat to Yisayim that I have nothing to eat, and then va'arichna megilta mashchi, I took from the hide of the deers and I made from it parchment, mashchi the tavia, from the hide of these deers. And vasalikna lamasa the lesba mikri dardaki, and I went to the cities where there is no one to teach the children Torah, the kasivna chamisha chumsha lechamsha yanuki, and I wrote the Chamisha Chumsha, the Torah, the Chumash, for 5 children. And I taught the 5 children Torah, each one another Chumash. And then Umasnitna Shitte Sidre Leshite Yenuki. And I taught the 6 Darim of the Mishnayos to 6 children, each one another Seder of the Mishnayos. And if to each one I said to them, Asni Sidurach Lachavrach, teach your Mishnayos to one other friend. And then, so this is how he brought back Torah. He made sure that the next generation, the children, should have Torah and they should teach each other Torah. This is what Rabbi said about Rab Chia. How great are the actions of Chia, of what he did over here. So Rab Shimon asked his father Rabbi, is he even greater than you? So he said, yes, he's even greater than me. Rab Shmuel bar Rabbi Yosi asked, Abba, is he even greater than my father Rabbi Yosi? Amalei, so Rabbi said, Chas v'shalom, God forbid, we can't say such a thing, that he's even greater than your father. So the Mashar actually points out that Rabbi was even greater than Rabbi Yosi, so we must say that when Rabbi said that Rab Chia is greater than him, he was saying it out of humility. Amalahan, continuing the story, when Rabbeinu HaKadosh passed away. So he said, Livni katan ani tzarech, I need my younger son. Nichnas Rab Shimon etzlois, Rab Shimon the younger son came into him, Masaloi Sidri Chachma, he gave him over the different matters of Chachma, which some of Farshim say refers to Ma'aser Merkava or Ma'aser Bereishis. Amala, and then he said, Libni Gadol ani tzarech, I need my older son. Nichnas Rabbi Gamliel etzlois, Rabbi Gamliel came to him, Masaloi Sidri Nesias, he gave him over the orders of how he should be a leader for the Yidden, a Nasi. Amalai, he told him, Bini, my son, Nahoi Nisiyuscha Beramim. You should conduct your Nisiyus, your leadership, Beramim, with a strong hand. Zroik Mara B'Talmidim, you should throw fear into the students. Fragte Gemara, Eini, is this true that you throw fear into the students? V'haksiv es yirei Hashem yechabit, that those that are God-fearing, he gives them honor. V'amar, the master explained this. Zeh Yeshafat Melech Yehuda. This refers to Yeshafat, the king of Yehuda, k'shayaraya Talmid Chacham. When he saw Talmid Chacham that was a student, haya oimed mikisa. He would get up from his chair, umechabkoi menashkoi, he would hug him and kiss him. V'kairalai, and he would call to him, Rabbi, Mari, my teacher, my master. So we see that you have to give honor for your students and not throw fear in them. Answers the Gemara, Leikashya, this is not a question. Ha b'tzine, when it comes privately, so there you have to give each the students their honor. And ha b'farasya, when it comes publicly, so over there you have to throw fear on your students to make it known that you're the leader. Tanya, we learned in Abraisa, Rebbe mutlu b'tzipoiri. Rebbe was in Tzipoiri when he passed away, so it wasn't Tzipoiri. And he had a place prepared in Be'ez Sharim to be buried there. The Gemara, is this true? But for Tanya, we actually learned about when Rebbe was alive. Tzedek, tirdoiv. The Braisa says, go after tzedek, after righteousness. Halech acher Rebbe lebeis sharim. Follow Rebbe, which is in Beis Sharim. So the Gemara answers, Rebbe bebeis sharim have. Rebbe was living in Beis Sharim. Ella kivin the chalash, but when he became weak and sick, amtiyul Tzipoiri. They brought him to Tzipoiri, the medallia, ubasam avira, because it's higher up and it's better air over there. On that day that Rebbe passed away. When Rebbe passed away, God's Rabbanon Tanise, the Rabbanon decreed that everyone should fast. And they were davening to the Eibishter. And they said, Command Oma, noch nafshe de Rebbe. Whoever's going to say that Rebbe passed away, yidoke becherev, should be killed with a sword. So the reason for this is, as it says in Shittim Mekubetz, is because they didn't want to hear that Rebbe passed away. They wanted to continue davening, and even if it's true that he passed away, if they're not going to know about this, and they'll continue davening, so then maybe there'll be Tchias HaMesim. But if they'll know that Rebbe passed away, they may stop davening. Slikam, say the Rebbe Leigre, the maid of Rebbe, went up to a rooftop. Amra, she said, El Yoinim Mevakshem es Rebbe, Vatachtoinim Mevakshem es Rebbe. The ones above want Rebbe to go up, and the ones below want Rebbe to remain here. Yiratzen should be the will of Hashem. Sheyikufu tachtainim esal yainim, that the ones below should force or should be stronger than the ones above. Kiva the chazoi, but then when she saw the suffering of Rebbe, kama zimni da'ayla besakisi v'choletz tefillin, how many times he would have to go into the bathroom and take off his tefillin because of the cholim mayim, as we learned before in the Gemara, umanach lahu, and he puts them on and off, become tired, and he's suffering so much. So now she said, Yehiratzen should be the will of Hashem, that the ones above should be stronger than the ones below, and that he should pass away. But the Rabbanan were not stopping to daven for him, and he remained here in this world. So she took a small jug, an earthenware jug, and she threw it from the rooftop to the ground. And it made a big sound. So for a moment, the Rabbanan stopped davening, mirachmi from davening, v'noch nafshe de Rebbe, and that's when Rebbe passed away. The Rabbanan said to Bar Kapara, Zil Ayin, go and see what's the condition of Rebbe. Azul, he went, Ashkeche de noch nafshe, he found that Rebbe had passed away. Kore lelavushe, he tore his garment, v'ahadre lekore la'achayre, but he put it back in a way that they shouldn't be able to notice it. And Pasach va'oma, and then when the Bar Kapara came back, he began and said as follows: Ar Elim u'mitzukim achzu ba'aron ha'kodesh. The Ar Elim, which refers to the Malachim, and the Mitzukim, which are the Tzaddikim over here in this world, were both grabbing onto the holy Aron of Rebbe. Nitzchu Ar Elim es ha'mitzukim. The Malachim overpowered, defeated the Mitzukim, the Tzaddikim in this world. V'nishba Aron ha'kodesh, and the holy Aron of Rebbe became captured. So they said to Bar Kapara, Noch nafshe, are you saying that he passed away? Amaluhu. So Bar Kapara said, Atun kamrisu, you are saying this. I did not say it. As we saw before, they didn't want anyone to say that Rabbeinu HaKadosh passed away. When Rebbe passed away, Zokaf Esetz Baisav Klapi Maila, he lifted up his 10 fingers towards the heavens. Omar, he said, Master of the universe, it's known and it's open for you. I toiled with my 10 fingers in learning Torah, and I didn't even have any benefit of this world, even with a small finger. It should be the will of Hashem. There should be peace in my menucha, with my guf. It refers to the guf, that its guf remains whole even after it's buried. This Gemara that says that he did not have any hana from this world, so the Rebbe Nasicha once spoke about this and said that this is even though Rabbeinu HaKadosh was extremely rich, and it's not like, the Gemara doesn't mean to say that Rabbeinu HaKadosh was saying that he lived a life of poverty and that's why he could say he had no hana. No, he had richness, and he enjoyed the richness, but with not, well, I shouldn't use the term enjoyed, but rather he had all the riches, he experienced all the riches, but without enjoying the Olam Hazeh, the Gashmias of it. It was all part of his serving Hashem. And therefore, you could say that he had zero hana of the gashmis that he all had in his life. Sagt the Gemara weiter, Yotza Baska v'Amra. A Baskel came out and said, and V'amran said, Yavai Shalom should come in peace, Yenucho al Mishkavaisam. They should rest on their place where they lie. So the Gemara asks on the lashon of this pasuk, al mishkavcha mibayle. Why doesn't it use a singular term, al mishkavcha, on one where he rests, like it says in the beginning of the pasuk, Yavai Shalom? And so the Marsha points out, even though it says Yanuchu in a plural term, that the pshat is that it refers to his guf that is resting in this world and his neshama that's resting in Olam Haba. But the question is regarding mishkavaisa. Why does it use a plural term? So the Gemara answers, this is proof to what Rab Chia bar Gamda said. Rab Chia bar Gamda said, Rab Yosi ben Shol. When a tzaddik departs from this world, the malachim come and say to the Eibishter, Master of the universe, tzaddik ploini ba, this individual tzaddik is coming. So the Eibishter says to the tzaddikim, Yuvayu tzaddikim v'yetzel l'krasai. Let all the tzaddikim come and go towards him to greet him. And then they say to the tzaddik, Yavai b'shalom, you should come in peace. And then the Eibishter says to the tzaddikim that went out to greet him, Yanuchu al mishkavaisam, that they will go and rest on there and where they lie. So this is referring to the tzaddikim in plural term, all the tzaddikim that came to greet the tzaddik. Amar Rabbi Lazar said, "B'shosh atzadik nifta min ha'olam." When a tzaddik is nifta from this world, shalosh kitas shel malachi hasharis yitzim l'kraseh. There are three groups of malachi hasharis that go out to greet him. Achas emeres loy. One of these groups of malachim say, "Boi b'shalom, come in peace." Achas emeres, and another group says, "Heilich nichachai, go straight forward, go straight ahead." Achas emeres loy. Another says to him, "Yavai shalom, yenucha mishkavaisam, come in peace, and you should lie in peace." B'shosh ha'rasha nevad min ha'olam. In contrast, when a rasha passes away from this world, there are three groups of Malachi Chabala that go out towards him. One says, there's no peace Hashem says for the Shem. Another group says to him, you should lie in depression or in sadness. Another says, go down and you lie with the Arelim, with those that have a closed heart. This is the conclusion of the whole story of Rabbeinu HaKadosh passing away. Okay, we continue with the following Mishnah, and Mitzvah Shem will finish the Perek today. Zok Teilige Mishnah, Kozman Shehi Beveisa Via. As long as an almana is living by her father's house. So her husband passed away, and she went to live with her parents. So Goyvik Subasa Loilam. She has the right to collect her ksubah forever. Kozman She Beveis Baila. But as long as she's living in her husband's house, so then, then she could only collect the ksubah for 25 years. Why 25 years? Because in the amount of time of 25 years, we know that whatever favors she does for her neighbors, she lends them or she gives them salt or different things that she gives her neighbors, she shares with her neighbors, it adds up over 25 years to come to the amount that she's owed for her ksubah. So after 25 years, she can't collect the ksubah. This is Rab Meir's opinion in the name of Rab Shimon Gamliel. Chachamim say the reverse is true. Calls man she bebeis baila, as long as she's in her husband's home, she can collect her ksubah forever. Now the svar over here is, he doesn't hold of this idea of the fact that she shares with her neighbors, that adds up to the amount of her ksubah. Rather, what the Chachamim are saying is that there's a svara that after 25 years she's meichel her ksubah by the very fact that she's not demanding it and collecting it. But the point of here is, as long as she's in her husband's home, and because the brothers or the Yershim are feeding her, so therefore she feels like embarrassed to come and collect the ksubah because they're supporting her. So the fact that she didn't collect the ksubah is not a sign that she was meichel this. But kozman she bebeis avia, as long as she's in her father's home, goyvik subasa ad esrim v'chom yishanim, she collects a ksubah only up to 25 years. After that she doesn't, because we know that she forgave her ksubah. Why? Because she didn't collect it. And over here she wouldn't be embarrassed to come and collect it because she's not being fed by them. Meisa, if she passes away, Yesher maskiring ksubasa, her Yershim can come and mention and come to collect her ksubah ad esrim v'chamishanim for 25 years. So there's a machlokes whether the 25 years over here refers to 25 years from when her husband passed away, or 25 years from after the almana passed away. Rabbi says to Rav Yosef regarding the opinion of Rav Meir that after 25 years you can't collect the ksubah because the favors that she does with her neighbors adds up to the amount of the ksubah. Says the Gemara, how could you say one number of years for all different women? Aniyah Shabi Yisrael, a poor woman amongst Yidden. Adesrim v'cham mishanim. It's after 25 years, it adds up to the amount of Kesubah. Marta bas baisis. And am I going to say the same about Marta bas baisis at Esrim v'cham mishanim, that until 25 years is the same thing? She's much richer and has a much larger Kesubah. You're going to say that after 25 years, the favor she does adds up to her Kesubah? Amalei, so Rav Yosef answered, yes, lefum gamla shichna, just like we say regarding a camel, that according to the strength of the camel is the weight that it can carry, so too over here, according to the richness of this woman, that's how much she shares with her neighbors as well. She shares more. So therefore, it does add up to the amount of her Kesubah. The question was asked, according to Rab Meir, that the point of here is that she used up her Kesubah after 25 years because of what she spent by sharing with people. So Masha to Shalish. What should I say? Maybe if it's a third of the time of 25 years, maybe I would say she loses a third of her Kesubah for what she shared for a third of the time. Taiku, this remains unresolved. Chachamim say that the opposite is true. It depends if she's in the house of her husband or in the house of the father. But when she's in the house of the father, that's when she gives up a Kesubah after 25 years. Amalei Abai Rav Yosef. So Abai asked Rav Yosef about this. So what does this mean? This number of 25 years. Asoi koydem shkiyas achama. If she comes to collect the Kesubah by the end of the 25 years, right before sundown, goyvik subasa. So then she will be able to collect the Kesubah. La'acha shkiyas achama. But if she comes even a moment later and it's after shkiyas achama, so then loy gavya. She will not be able to collect the Kesubah. Do I say bahi purta chilta? If the idea over here, according to Chachamim, is that after 25 years, we say that probably this length of time, she was Meichel, her Kesubah, do I say that the difference between a moment before and a moment after can be this difference, that before she's not Meichel and a moment later she is Meichel? Amalei, so Rav Yosef answers in, yes, Kol midas Chachamim kain hi. All of the different measurements that Chachamim measured are the same. By boim sa'at tovel, regarding a mikveh, you need to have 40 sa'at for the mikveh to be the minimum amount of water to be tovel. Bar boim sa chaser kurtiv, any little ben. But if it's just missing a tiny amount, so then you can't tovel with it in it. So therefore, you see that the shear is exact. A drop less is not, and a drop more is the right shear. So the same thing over here. Mefarshim explained that the reason why Abaya had a question about this is because over here, this shear that we're using, 25 years for the mechila of an almana, is something which is totally bedas b'nei adam. It's not like a mikveh, which is a certain amount, which is halacha l'moshe misene, so a drop more, a drop less that is not going to be that amount. It's not totally in people's opinion or the way people think. But over here, it's something which is totally in the feelings of people, that we say that 25 years is an indication that she gave it up. So therefore, he was wondering whether we could apply this shear a second before and a second later. And Rav Yosef said, yes, we apply over here as well. The Chachamim give the shear, and this is the shear. Amar Rav Yudah Amar Rav. Rav Yudah said in the name of Rav, hey, the Rabbi Shmuel but Rabbi Yosef lifnei Rabbi. Rabbi Shmuel but Rabbi Yosef testified in front of Rabbi Shama Mishum Aviv. He said in the name of his father Rabbi Yosef. Lo shanu, this halacha here wasn't taught that after 25 years she's meichel, ela she'ein shtar ksuba, yoytze mitachas yedeh. If she doesn't actually have a ksuba to collect with. Ksuba wasn't written, a place where they don't have a ksuba. So then we say that after 25 years she's meichel. But if she has a shtar ksuba, goyvek subasa la'olam, so then with a ksuba she can collect with this forever. Because if she would have been meichel this, she would have given the ksuba back to the Yisayimim. She kept her ksuba, that means she's not meichel. But Rabbi Lazar says, even if she does have a ksuba, she could only collect for 25 years. Past this, we know that she was meichel. Rav Sheshes asked a question on Rav. There's a brayso that says, a Bachayiv could come and collect his loan, even if he didn't mention anything about this for many, many years, for more than 25 years, he can still come and collect it. That's a halacha that it says specifically regarding a Bachayiv. So, Heichidami, what is this price is speaking about? If he comes after such a long period of time and he has no shtar, so with what is he collecting his loan? Ella the noket shtar. So this brayso is speaking about a Bachayiv that is coming with a shtar, that he's owed this money. So what does this brayso say? Only by a Bachayiv do we say that he was not meichel this. But ha'almana achiltu. But when it comes to an almana, so then she is going to be meichel this. That's what we see. There's a distinction over here. And Rashi says the svara for the difference is because first of all, the almana had hana from the Yisayimim, the Yerishim that fed her all this time. A Bachayiv does not get any of that hana. So there's no svara that Abal Chayiv should be Meichel. Another point is Abal Chayiv actually lent money. He's losing money here. But by an almana, she's not losing any money. This is a ksubah she's owed, but because she's not losing money, so we say that after 25 years she's Meichel. Point is, we see from this Braise that only by Abal Chayiv do we say that she can collect, that Abal Chayiv can collect with a shtar after 25 years. But an almana, even with a shtar, cannot collect after 25 years. So the Gemara says, "Who ma'isiv law, v'hu mefarek law." So Rav Sheshes himself asked a question from this brayse, but he answered and said, "We don't have to say that this brayse is speaking about when the Baal Chayiv has a shtar. Lo'ilam de loy noket shtar. It's possible this brayse is speaking about without a shtar. And v'hacha b'mayaskinon kishachayiv meide." You ask a question, how is the Baal Chayiv collecting without a shtar? The answer is, the case over here is that the loive is agreeing that he owes the money. That's how he can collect. So therefore, yes, it's true, this is only by a Baal Chayiv and not by an almana. An almana, after 25 years, she is Meichel, but we're speaking about without a shtar. With a shtar, Rav could still be right that by an almana, she will be able to collect even after 25 years. Another question the Gemara asks, Rabbi Law said, Shainin, we learn, Gerusha Harei Baal Chayiv. That a Gerusha, a woman that's divorced, has the halacha like a Baal Chayiv that she can collect her ksubah forever. She's never meichel ksubah. In other words, a grusha is different than an almana. She got divorced. She's definitely not interested in being meichel the ksubah that she owes. By an almana, she's getting fed by the yisaimim. An almana is a different story. Over there's a svara to say that she's meichel. So the question over here is, hey chidami. So what is this Braisa speaking about? Either nikita, again the Gemara says goes through the same svara as before. Either nikita ksubah, if she does not have a ksubah, so then b'mai gavya. So how is she collecting after such a long time? El alav the nikita ksubah. Aren't we speaking over here about a case that this woman, this grusha, has a ksubah? And the grusha, what does it say here? That only a grusha, he delav basichulihi. Do I say that she's not meichel or ksubah and she can collect even past 25 years when she has the ksubah in her hands? Ha almane, but when it comes to an almane, even if she's holding the ksubah in her hands, achilte, she's meichel or ksubah. So this is a question on Rav that said if she holds the ksubah in her hands, she's not meichel the ksubah. Answers the Gemara, hachanami kishachayiv maide. Here as well, this Braisa is speaking about, like you said before, that the husband that divorced her is maide, and therefore not necessarily does she have the ksubah in her hands. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak said, Tani Rav Yehuda bar Kaze b'masnite de bei bar Kaze. Rav Yehuda bar Kaze learned in a Braise from bar Kaze, and he said over there basically like Rav said, Tova ksubasa, when she comes and she demands her ksubah, harehi ki batchila. So now from the time when she demanded her ksubah, we see it as if it is from the beginning of when her husband died, or when her husband divorced her. And therefore, if we count again from here another 25 years to see if she's not going to demand, and then to say that she's moichel ksubah. The Braisa continues, but if she has her shtar ksubah in her hands, she can collect her ksubah forever. So this is clearly like Rav's opinion. Sagt die Gemara weiter, Shalach le Rav Nachman bar Rav Chisda le Rav Nachman bar Yaakov. Rav Nachman bar Rav Chisda sent to ask the following question of Rav Nachman bar Rav Yaakov, Yilam Deinu Rabbeinu. Our teacher should teach us, Kishishtar Ksubah Yoytze Mitachas Yoda. Machlaikis, the argument in the Mishnah between Rav Meir and the Chachamim, whether when she's in the father's house, we say that she can't collect after 25 years, or when she's in the husband's house, she can't collect after 25 years. Are they arguing when she has a ksubah? Or they're arguing in a case when she does not have the ksubah. And also another question, do we pass like Rav Meir or like the Chachamim in the Mishnah? Shalach lei, so he sent and he answered him, they're arguing in a case where she does not have the ksubah in her hands, then she's meichel the ksubah after 25 years. But if she has a ksubah, like Rav said, she can collect forever. And also, the halacha kedivrei chachamim, we pass like the chachamim that when she's in the husband's house, there's no indication that she was meichel. She's embarrassed to collect her ksubah. When she's in the father's house, if she didn't collect for 25 years, it's a raya she was meichel and she can't collect the ksubah. Ki asar Rav Dimi Yom Rav Shimon ben Pazi Yom Rav Shua ben Levi Mishum Bakapore. So he said in the name of Bakapore, Leishanu Elamonu Masayim. The whole halacha of her being meichel the ksubah, it's going according to the Chachamim about being meichel the ksubah. That's only regarding the money Masayim, the basic amount of the ksubah. Aval Tesefes, the additional amounts that the husband gives her, which is basically a gift, Yashla. That's a gift that he promises her, and she gets this forever. However, Rabbi Vo said in the name of Rabbi Yechanan, even the additional amounts that the husband promised, she doesn't get either. All the additional conditions that are written into the Kesubos, including this Tosefes, Kesubos Dami, has the same halacha as the Kesubos, and therefore she doesn't collect it. That he said, Rav Huna said in the name of Rav, this, that she's Meichel the Kesubos, is only the basic amount of Mana Masayim. But the additional amounts she does have, so Rav said, like Bakapara. But Rababa asked Rav Huna, that is, is this actually true that Rav said this, like Bar Kapara, that the additional amounts the husband promised as a gift and she can collect forever? So Rav Huna responds back to Rababa, I'm not understanding what you're trying to ask me. Are you trying to quiet me? In other words, are you trying to ask me and wondering that I should be quiet and not say this in the name of Rav because you disagree? Or are you trying to give me to drink, giving me to drink wine? In other words, you're trying to support what I'm saying, that yes, Rav actually said this. Rabbi says, I'm actually trying to quiet you because I don't agree with this halacha you said in the name of Rav. The Gemara brings a story here that happened in connection to this halacha. The mother-in-law of Rab Chia Ariche, which was Inta Sachua, which was the brother of his, which was the wife of his brother, Havoi, the wife of his brother, Va'almane bebeis avia Havoi. And she was an almane, her husband passed away, and she was living in her father's house, and Vizana, and now what happened was, who's the one that came and fed her? Vizana esrim v'chomish shnin, Rab Chia, which was the brother, is the one that fed her for 25 years, Bebei Nasha, in her father's house. Because what happened is he passed away without any children. So who's the one that yarshins all of the money, all the properties from the brother, the husband of this woman? It was the brother, Rab Chia Ariche, and he's the one. He's the Yiddish, and he was feeding her for 25 years when she was living by her parents. So after 25 years, Amralei, she says to Rab Chia Ariche, Havli mezayne, continue feeding me. Amalah, so he says to her, Les lach mezayne, I don't have to feed you anymore at this point. After 25 years, you're Meichel, the Mezainis, I don't have to feed you. So this is connected to what we said before in the Gemara, that after 25 years you give up on the Kesubos and the Tnoi Kesubos, the conditions in the Kesubos, which includes also feeding. So therefore he didn't want to feed her anymore. So she said, Havli Kesubos, pay me the Kesubos. So he says to her, you don't get not mezainis and not the Kesubos after 25 years, that you will buy your parents' house. We paskin like the opinion of the Chachamim, when she's in her parents' house and she didn't collect the Kesubos, that's an indication that she's meichel her Kesubos. Tavase Ledina, she demanded him to come with him to a Dintaire Kamei de Rabbi Bashila, by Rabbi Bashila. Amalei, so Rabbi Bashila says to Rab Chia, Emily easy gufa de uvde hechavi. Tell me now, or according to some, easy means my friend. Tell me the story of what happened of it. Why don't you want to give her the Kesubos? Amalei, so he says to Rabbi Bashila, Zanisa esrim v'chamishanim bebein nosha. I fed her 25 years when she was in her father's house. B'chayi demar, and I could swear in the life of the master, the b'kasfoi amtila. I myself came and brought on my shoulders the food to her every single day. Amalei, so Rabbi Bashila says, if so, time in my Yomer Rabbanon, why did the Chachamim say that Chosman she bebeis by logoy v'ksubasa, that when she's in her husband's home for these 25 years, she could still collect the Kesubos lo'olam forever? Damrina, because we say mishum kisufo delay tava, she was embarrassed to collect the Kesubos, so therefore she didn't collect it. So the fact that she didn't collect it for all this time is no indication that she was meichel. If so, hachanami over here as well, even though she was living by her parents, but you came every single day and brought on your shoulders the food for her, mishum kisufa hu delay tava. It's only because she was embarrassed that she did not collect this, but she did not mean to be meichelit, and therefore zil havla, go and give her a Kesubos now. By Ashkach, Rab Chia did not listen. He didn't give her the Kesubos. Kosavlo adrachta anichse. So Rabbi Bashila went and wrote a document of collection to give her the rights to go and collect the shibud of her Kesubos from the properties that Rab Chia has. So now Rab Chia went to Rava. See, maybe Rava will support his position. Amalei chazimar heichidanon. Look, Rabbi Bashila paskins over here that even after 25 years I still have to give her the Kesubos. Amalei, so Rava, when he heard the story, ended up sacked in. So he said, Shapir Donach. He actually paskin right. She's not meichel the Kesubos, and you have to pay her the Kesubos. So now Amralei, she, the almana comes and says, Amralei, she says to Rava, Ihachi lezel ahadali peri. So now Rab Chia should not only pay me the ksubah, but he has to give me the paytis that he ate from these properties that belong to my ksubah, the minahu yoyma ada idna. From that time that Rabbi Bar Shila paskin and wrote a document of collection from these properties. So from that day, these properties are mine, and I have the right to collect them. He wasn't allowed to eat from any of the fruits, and therefore from whatever he ate, he has to pay me back. He has to reimburse me. So Rava says to her, Achvili adrachtich. Show me the document of collection that you got from Rabbi Bar Shila. Chazye, she showed it to Rava, or rather, Chazye, Chazye Rava saw the Lavakosov Ba. It did not say in this document, Vishtu Maidane, the Nechasam Elu, the Misna Inun. And I know that these properties are from the properties of her husband that passed away. In other words, he just wrote, Rabbi Bar Shila wrote in the document, in this adrachta to collect for this woman, that she can go and collect from these properties that Rab Chia has. Amongst them were properties that Rab Chia got from her husband that passed away, his brother that he yarshened, and there was also his own properties. But Rabbi Bar Shila, when he wrote this document of collection, didn't make any distinction. He just wrote that she can come and collect from all of his properties. But he didn't specifically write that she could only collect from those properties that he yarshened from her husband that passed away. So Rava said, if so, adrachta lav shapik sive. This document of collection was not written properly. You only have the right to collect from the properties of your husband. But it doesn't say that in this document. So if the whole document of collection is not written right, so then you can't say that he has to reimburse you for the paytis that he ate from that time. It wasn't written right at all. Amralei, so she said to him, if so, tezel adrachte, forget about the adrachte, so I can't collect from that time. But ishkel miyayme de shlimu yayma achraste. Ad hashta. How about I should take paytis from the time that I did identify a certain property that did belong to my husband, and I went and I announced a price for it, and I tried to auction it off, and from that day where I identified a property that does belong to me, so from then he wasn't allowed to eat from there, and he should reimburse me for this. Again, from that day until now he should pay me back. So Rava answers her, when would this be true? That even if you identify that property, so now you can go and collect, he should reimburse you from these for these paytis. If the adrachte, the property, the document of collection was not written with a mistake. But if your rights and your document you have to collect is written with a mistake, less lamba. So then we don't pay attention to this. You don't have the rights to get reimbursed for anything, because you don't have yet a proper document, any proper rights to even collect. But now this woman, this almana here, was apparently a mulumedes. So she comes and asks Rava, but you, the master, you have said achrayis ta seiferu. A star that's written. When you have a star that's written for a loan, and it's not written inside the star clearly that he's taking responsibility to pay the loan even if his properties are being sold, that's the achrayis he takes. Even if it's not specified in the star, it's just a mistake of the scribe. And automatically, this is part of the agreement by the loan. So if so, according to you should say the same thing over here, that when this document is written, and it wasn't written, specified clearly exactly from what I collect, I could only collect from my husband's properties that died, and not from Rab Chia's properties, so it should just be considered to be a mistake of the scribe, and the adrachte, the document, should be a good document. So Rava answered, no, there's no comparison. Over here with this document of collection, you can't say that it's a mistake, that the scribe did not write what everybody knows, a halacha that's known. You can't say that, because the Baha, even Rabbi Bar Shila also made a mistake. Or this goes together. Even Rabbi Bar Shila also made a mistake in the beginning. So therefore, if this was not written properly, so therefore it is actually a real mistake, and therefore the shtar adrachte cannot be used, so you don't have any rights from then to collect. So the Gemara explains, who savor? Why did Rabbi Bashila write the shtar without specifying from which properties she can come and collect? Only from the properties that of her husband had passed away. So Rabbi Bashila thought as follows: Hani v'hani didei. Both properties right now belong to Rab Chiya, and she's coming to collect from Rab Chiya what she's owed for her ksubah. He's the Yairish, and she's collecting from him for her ksubah. So therefore, Rabbi Bashila thought, Mali Mahani. Mali Mahani. What difference does it make if she's going to collect from the properties that he yarshined from his brother, from her husband, or from his properties? What difference does it make? So therefore, it doesn't make a difference what I'm going to write. I'm just going to write a shtar that she has the right to collect. But v'loihi. Rava says that she wasn't right. Why? Because Zimnin, the Ozla, Umishapchalahu. But what would happen over here is that sometimes if Bezdin are going to come and tell her, here, this is a property from Rab Chiya that you could come and collect for yourself. In other words, not a property from her husband, but the Bezdin is going to come and tell her, here's a property from Rab Chiya that you can go and collect for yourself. And a Meshapchalu, so she's going to make sure that it's in a good condition, she'll treat it well. Udabaila michsefi. But a property that's coming from her husband that passed away, that she's not going to make sure that it's in good condition, and it's going to deteriorate. And then what's going to happen? Rab Chiya himself is going to think to himself that probably she's not taking my property that I always owned. She's going to probably come back and take this property over here from her husband. And so therefore the husband, Rab Chiya thinks to himself, if she's anyways taking it, why should I invest in this? One day she's going to come and take it. And then she's going to end up thinking that she's getting a property from Rab Chiya, but in the end she's going to be getting the property from her husband that passed away. And V'amallah, and Rab Chiya would come and tell her, Shakal didach, come, you take your property. You take the property from your husband that passed away. V'havli didi, let me keep what belongs to me, my property. Right, so therefore, if you're not going to specify clearly in the shtar which properties it is that she can take and which she can't, and this will come to have a bad rumor, or to say something bad about the Bezdin, that Bezdin wasn't ma'ayin properly to make sure that she shouldn't be stuck in the end with a property that deteriorated, because she thought she's getting a property from him, from Rab Chiya, and in the end Rab Chiya says, let me keep my property, and here, take the property from your husband, and that property was not, she didn't expect to get it, and because she didn't know what she's getting, and it ended up deteriorating, and now she's going to get something which is in very bad condition. So therefore, when you write an adrachta in such a kind of situation, you have to specify very clearly that she can take the properties from her husband that passed away, and not from the brother now that yarshin, and only then is the adrachta good. So therefore, in such a case, she wouldn't be able to collect with this adrachta that wasn't written properly. Hadron Allah Hanaisa. This is the conclusion of the 12th Pedic of Masechta Kesubos.